All right, so we're in this particularly cool room here. This is where I've been recording the lectures. I'll just pan up. I don't know who did this, but it looks awesome. Somebody is on a pretty deep study binge, it looks like, and then went a little extra on it. But none of that is part of our class. I just wanted to show some physical components since we're starting circuits. That's really cool that you can play around with. So this starts the part of the course that is really accessible to you as much as you choose. So you can get, if you were taking this class in person, you would be getting a laboratory experience where you play with circuits and such. But even that is limited in itself. And so you can get circuit components online in bulk for very cheap. And it's one of the last, Wild West kind of hobbies where you can go as deep as you want and not have to spend very much money for it, because these components are so ubiquitous, they're very, very cheap. So this here that I'm holding up is it's called a breadboard, and it has little holes here. Hopefully the camera is focusing on this. Has little holes here that wires can stuff into to make connections with each other. So we'll talk about it in this lecture. I'm gonna try not to spend too much time here. I just want to kind of give you a visual. So these wires have little pins on the outside that just, it's just metal, nothing fancy. There's no electrical chip connected to this. There's no brain. It's literally just metal, and you can plug it in and have it connect to different parts of this breadboard. And so you can have all kinds of different things connected. You can connect up your battery, which is your voltage source. You can have LEDs that you can light up. I obviously should have prepared something for y'all to witness beforehand, but you can connect these things together, right? And so if you get a battery going, then, which this is kind of more of a watch battery, so that's not going to work exactly. But you can get a battery connected to this, and it goes in some of these blue and red line pins traditionally, and you get your circuit going. You can get a light bulb to light up. There's switches, so very tactile, satisfying little clicky buttons. There's other fancy things you can get, right? You can go as deep as you want to electrical engineering. So there's components that are called integrated circuits. So this is like your quintessential chip, right, when you think about it from the 90s. And this would just plug in here, and each of these pins can have a unique connection to a wire. And you would look online at the schematics of the internal wiring of this chip to see what each pin needs to have as a connection in terms of voltage and what it's supposed to do. And it's just a fantastic hobby, and for less than $100 you can get millions of creative projects going. There's something called an Arduino. Mine came in this box, and they used to be $30. I think they're now like 80, because the world sucks sometimes. But if you're interested in doing some fancy projects and actually programming some cool things to happen, then you can get an Arduino, which has an onboard programmable memory. And so you can connect it to the computer, type in some really basic Scratch code, and then tell it to control your circuit that you've connected. So blink a light, every 20 seconds, or there's sensors, right? So there's temperature sensors, light sensors. I don't think you can see very well, but this little guy in there is a light sensor. There's potentiometers. There's all kinds of cool things. And so you can have a very responsive and reactive circuit that does something cool that you designed it to do. If you look on my personal YouTube channel, you will see a few videos of a RC car that I modified for a class project a few years back to be autonomous, but a really low level of autonomy, where it had light sensors pointing down on the ground as well as LEDs pointing on the ground, so it could work in the dark even, and a black tape track on the ground. And it was a really simple circuit that just allowed the car to look straight down at the ground and see if the ground was like very light. So the tile that I put this track on was like nearly white, and so it would reflect a lot of light. In which case it would know it was off the track. And if it was looking down and it saw black tape, the track, then it knew it was on the track. And so it would respond by turning the wheels one way or the other, depending on which sensor on the right side of the car or the left side of the car that was facing down would be tripped to, first to say that it's off the track. So watch those videos for a nice demonstration of some more advanced things you can do, and it obviously goes beyond that. I mean, people in the 70s were building their own computers. That's where Apple came out of. So very, very cool stuff. I'll stop there. I have a whole kit here. You get all kinds of cool colored wires and all kinds of things that I would love to show you guys, but we just don't have a ton of time. And so I can't really spend too much time on it. But if you're interested in this kind of thing and you're getting into your own personal projects, I would love to hear about it. And it's a really nice, cheap hobby. It's like fantastic to do as a student. You learn a ton, and it's really empowering, and you don't have to spend that much money. All right, so back to the lecture now. What a cool room, huh?